Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow.
Take the message, everybody.
Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should.
Do share the link in the meanwhile. We're just going to give you some developments in Berbice, 13, and Linden, the horrible situation in Linden.
Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good morning. It's just a minute before 11 o'clock. The time might be different wherever you are. And I see people already commenting. Garfield Collins, good morning to you, and good morning or good afternoon to all of our listeners, wherever you are. I know there are lots of mothers who are preparing for that big day tomorrow, Mother's Day, right? So we are going to have some Mother's Day programs tomorrow. But for now, we want to deal with the situation happening. There's a flood situation in Berbice, and then there is that breaking down of people's homes in Linden. We don't want the politicians who are reactionary, those who come out after the fact to show and say, hey, this is what has happened. We want politicians who would prevent, who would stand up to be there at the time when things are happening. You can't tell me all of them are miles away. To be there to ensure they represent the people. Coming after the fact and talking about what has happened and this is bad and this, I'm not buying into that at all. But we will head to Berbice. Want to find out what's happening with the flood there. And I just want to make this point clear, right? That rain, whenever rains fall, these things do happen. So I want to get that off the bat, right? However, if you have people who are in place to prevent these sort of floodings, to put mechanisms in place, and they don't do it, well, then the regime will have to be blamed. And whoever is in office, whether it's the previous administration, if they were in office and they have failed to ensure that these mechanisms are put in place to prevent massive flooding, well, then they would have been blamed. And so today, the PPP has to be blamed for what is happening in Berbice. And I want to show you guys what's happening on the quarantine Berbice, that is Port Morant. Port Morant is supposed to be a a major support area of the PPP. And do you think they care? Do you really think they care? They actually do not. All right. And this is why folks like Garfield Collins and others would say, stand up for Berbice, stand up, Berbice, stand up, Berbice. All right. And so we will be heading to Linden shortly, but this is what's happening in Berbice. We'll show you a quick video as to the flooding and the neglect of the people of Port Morant and other areas across the quarantine. And look, I commend the politicians who rushed down to Port Morant, rushed down to Belvedere, Nig, Albion, and all these other areas, right? But remember, I was telling you guys last week or a week and a half or so, the people at Evesham went through a heck of a lot. And I'm still awaiting the politicians to go to Evesham, between Evesham, Epsom, and Brighton. I am still awaiting politicians that you would expect to go there and talk to the people and so forth. I don't know. Savitri Rose, good morning to you. Savitri said, talking is like throwing water on ducks' back. But I'll tell you what, Savitri, I'll tell you what, I will keep talking. Whether it's throwing water and ducks back for them or not, I will. I'm talking about the opposition politicians. I will keep talking. Mind you, I will do so. I'm not bothered about whether they're vexed or not. People are punishing throughout the country, right? Look at what the people have to endure at Anchorville, Port Morant. Look, they're fall pen. They're probably mining a little couple chickens and whatever else. It's horrible. But look, we ain't started talking about Linden as yet. We haven't started talking about that as yet. Poor dog. Poor dog. You know what's going through that dog's mind? He's looking around also. Not only the people are looking around for the politicians, the dogs, the animals are looking around for the politicians to say, why haven't you prevented or put mechanisms in place to prevent these sort of things? But I'm thankful, though, that we still have a few politicians in the opposition who are out there working. And one such person is Dinesh Jaiprashad. The others seem to be sleeping. I tell you what, they seem to be sleeping. They think that politicking is Facebook. Jump on Facebook, talk, and then, sorry about that. They jump on Facebook, talk, and then that's the end of it. You don't see, neither do you hear from them, other than on Facebook. Spend all the hours on Facebook talking. But when you're to see them on the ground, where it matters most, not on Facebook. You don't win any elections on Facebook because a lot of people on Facebook are overseas. Don't get me wrong. I mean, people want to know what's going on in Guyana, but the battle is on the ground, not on Facebook. It's on the ground where it matters to get your support base intact. This is Anchorville, Port Morant. So you're able to see that video, Anchorville, Port Morant, flooding all over that area. We have a member of Parliament, Dinesh Jai Prasad, with us this morning for a quick minute to give us an update. Uh, Member of Parliament, sorry. Good morning to you, sir. What's the update and what's happening in Anchorville and so forth, the flooding?
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me for this session. It's a sad state for us in Port Brand, in Anchorville to be specific. This is the birthplace of Chetty Jagan, and we have been complaining to the NDC and the RDC over and over as it relates to the main drainage for the entire Anchorville block, and no one listening. So this is basically telling us nobody doing anything so that more flood relief money can come. We know what happened in the last time. Up to now, people don't receive what they're supposed to receive. And we see now, this is the 6, 7, 8 days in May, and we are already experiencing heavy flooding.
All right, and this, can you let us know some of the areas? We know Port Morant. What other areas?
Well, I'm living in Port Morant, right? So all the areas affected in Port Morant. So we have Grassfield, Bongyard, Freeyard, Anchorville, Area R, Haswell, Johns, Tane, Clifton, Mississippi, North and the South, everywhere affected at the moment. The water start to go little by little, but if we have another 2 hours or 3 hours of rain, everybody again. And this is more because of the negligence of the PPP administration.
So I was going to ask you about the negligence of this installed PPP regime. What sort of negligence? What could have been done to prevent the flooding?
The last big flood that we had was a PR for the boys, basically. A lot of money went to friends and associates and cronies. People still who work for hours operating tractor irrigators were not paid. The man had to protest and fight and then get paid. So we see that this is a calculative move to have the people under this plight so that the PPP administration will come to Parliament soon and say, hey, now we get a flood. We need supplemental money, and we know what will happen with that. So if the NDC, after the flood that we had some time ago, if they had, gone back to the villages and clear the drains and prepare, May, June, every year is rain for us. But these guys did nothing. We are saying that nothing was done because more money got to spend. Poor people money got to spend.
Okay, and it's more money. The Minister of Agriculture happens to be a man from Quarantine, originally from Bloomfield, which is not far from the flooded areas. You mentioned Tane and all those other areas. What exactly is that guy doing as Minister of Agriculture? Zulfikar Mustafa.
Well, myself, Kamara Return Honorable Member and Honorable Member Ricky Ramsaru, we came Thursday to Port Brand and we did a walkabout. After that, we see yesterday the vice operative inviting people that today Zulfikar Mustafa will come. Is it that these ministers are on reactive mode? There is no proper vision and thinking and planning. So whenever the opposition go and expose something, you come and find a quick fix. You come and find a quick fix. What we are saying that he is living in Bloomfield, the village after Port Brand, and if this village next to your village is flooded, and you are the minister, if we can't fix the hometown, or we can fix the country, the village after the honorable minister village, William, our client, all those areas there underwater, people sending videos and posting up videos. These people have property, they have appliances, and so a lot of people living downstairs, one flat house, and this water coming into the place, coming into the kitchen and the bedroom and everywhere. Who will compensate the people? So if the minister was more proactive, forward thinking, then he could have gone to the NDC and the RDC and say, okay, now, I do a job. You are public servants, you are being paid by the people, the taxpayers, let everybody do their job. And we wouldn't be in this mess here.
Honorable MP, I say this, the Minister of Agriculture, who sits there, does really nothing. You only see him when it's time for distribution of flood release funds, and that is a massive area of corruption. He lives at Bloomfield, but going for the east, the next village after Bloomfield is Letterkenny. Letterkenny at this time is flooded. After Letterkenny,
Yes,
it's
sir.
Auckline village. Auckline is flooded. I'm sure the primary school is flooded. Opposite the primary school is the graveyard and the church. I know that is flooded as well. After Letterkenny is Wim, and then you have Liverpool and Lancaster underwater as well. Are people paying attention to these things? I mean, these are things that not only you as a representative of the coalition should be there on the ground, that they should be other representatives, not just show up for a quick photo op and then disappear. They need to see folks. Forget about the regime. The regime, we're not going to see those politicians there on the ground. And I applaud you for being there on the ground as a representative. But what about the councillors representing the coalition? What about those people? We're not seeing, we're not hearing from them at all. What's going on, Honorable MP?
Well, it's something that we have to work on. A lot of training and retreating got to be done. We got to hold these councillors and representatives accountable, because you are there elected by the people to serve the people, and you can't just show up here for meeting and then you go out again. So we need to work on our system as well. We have some areas that we got to work on to fix, so that we will have a better coverage and a better representation. I know some councillors and representatives are listening to your program, so wherever you are, we need you to go there and start to take some pictures, talk to the people, find out whatever is the problem, so that collectively we can apply more pressure on the government, so that they can ensure that they do the work and the people enjoy a good life that we want them to enjoy.
They need to be more proactive. They need to be on the ground. Lots of councillors representing the coalition. We're not seeing from them. We're not hearing from them. It seems as though they're not really representing the people. And let me give you another example. About 2 weeks ago, Eversham was flooded. Eversham, you're familiar with Eversham, Epsom, and Brighton and those
Yes,
areas. We hardly, those areas have been ignored. We don't want our politicians to be only settling in a particular area, as is the case. I noticed you mentioned that Mr. Ramjatan was down there. The MP Ramjatan was there. MP Ramrup was also there. We must not be selective in these areas. The people of Liverpool and Lancaster also need representation. The people of Evesham and Epsom and Brighton, they need representation as well. And you're one man. I know there's only so much that you can do, but I am talking directly to our opposition politicians. Don't do a quick photo op, sweep in one particular area, and then you disappear. Just don't do that. But how are the people feeling right now on the ground? What are they saying, Honorable MP?
Just to piggyback on you and what you said just now. You see what happened? Port Brand, we came to Port Brand to show the Chinese population and to show the world that this is a stronghold of the PPP. And if the PPP supporters suffering like this, just think what they will do to the other people who vote against them. You understand? So if this is Jagannath Place, this is where PPP originate, and the people living in filth. This age, because of negligence. What are you saying to the people who in the other areas, So I understand that we need to push a little bit more, a lot more, and I am assuring you that this will be a regular something that we will take the villages in the quarantine and the other areas, so that we will bring out more as to what really is happening. And the plights of people facing.
And I know you guys will. You have been doing that, sir, and I applaud you. And I hope others will take a photo, take a page out of your book and do exactly the same thing. This is not about research and sit down in office and so forth. There are other representatives of Region 6. And people should not just hop in for a quick photo op, like I've said, and leave. People are punishing in Region 6. All of them, a lot of villages have flooded with water. The people in Evesham, Epsom, the people at Alness, Philippi, I assume also, and other villages all across the quarantine. Right now, if I had my way, I would have had. We don't need just a tour of an area to talk. We need a tour, meaning our politicians them should just embark upon these areas to go, maybe 10, 15 of them to go and spread out across the quarantine right now. That is what the opposition should have been doing. And then we have a problem out in Linden, which we will be joined by folks in Linden shortly. Anything else quickly before we go, sir? directly to the
So,
PPP regime.
should I say anything about Linden? What we saw on the news,
Sure, sir. You're MP. If you,
sir?
yeah, yeah.
I am a Guyanese. I am a Guyanese, and there are ways how we need to deal with people. Um, our brothers and sisters there in Linden who are facing tragedy. Um, for you to stand there and look your house being pulled down by a HIMAC is saying a lot to the value of human life and people in this country. I'm saying to the PPP administration, there are ways that we can do this. There are ways that we can do this. We have a lot of people in Region 6 who bill on government reserves, but nobody coming with anything and break it down. Nobody telling them anything. But you have people in Linden, they have gone so much skills in terms of construction and they have built so much. And now you coming here to break that out. It is not right. It is not right. And it is time that the people need to speak out more. For too long, people think things are still quiet. But I'm saying if you're being fair, and break out the people who build on the reserve all over the country. Don't select communities and say you're doing one and doing two.
Well said.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Honorable MP. I appreciate it. Keep the good works up. Send me some photos and videos when you can. And if you guys can, check what's happening in Liverpool, Lancaster, Evesham, Arles, and other areas. I know you're just one man and you could only do so much. Thank you so much, though, MP.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir. Have a good
appreciate
day.
it. Yeah. All right, that's the Honorable MP, Dinesh Chai Prashad, just giving us a quick update. We are going to be joined shortly by some folks out in Linden to find out what is happening in that area. Somebody has mentioned also, and thank you so much, thank you so much, sir. Photographs are coming in, not only on the quarantine, all the places are flooded, and I'm looking at some of the photographs here. Um, Beautiful Guyana, right? And these people, 31 Stanley Tongue on the water. Thank you so much, sir. 31 Stanley Tongue is on the water. Who is really paying attention to what's happening there? We know that these folks in this regime, they are just about, making money. They're concerned about money, making money for themselves and deals for themselves and cronies, family members and friends. That is what they do. That is what they cater for. And then they try to give the impression as though they're all about rules and regulations and laws and all these manner of things. They're not about that. It's just about corruption, corruption, corruption. This is the reason why you can't see the Minister of Agriculture on the ground dealing with the issue, dealing with people. They are not going to do that at all. And every time we expect or we say, oh, look at what is happening and they're not doing it. Don't expect the PPP to be out there doing anything. They're not going to do anything. All right, so don't expect them to do that at all, and don't be surprised when they don't do it. So, as the honorable MP said that they were at Port Moran to show the world that if the PPP could do that to the people of Port Morant, what wouldn't they do to people at Evesham and other places, Liverpool, Lancaster, Arnis, and so forth? I don't know when was the last time, if at all, the the agriculture minister Zulfikar Mustafa visited places like Arnis, Evesham, Epsom, Brighton, Liverpool, Lancaster, Kildonan, and those areas. I don't know when was the last time they've done that. They're very selective in doing that. And I wish even when Ramjatan went down there, Ramjatan would have gone to Evesham and Epsom too, because they also experienced flooding last week, just last week. And what have they done? Absolutely nothing. No visit to the people in those areas. I wonder why. Anyways, this is what's happening. This is the current situation at 31 Stanley Town. 31 Stanley Town. Look at the area. Just take a look. 31 Stanley Town, right? They're not concerned about this. This is Stanley Town, New Amsterdam. But yet they're talking about developments at Palmyra and big housing schemes at Palmyra, businesses at Palmyra, hotels at Palmyra. That is Palmyra as soon as you come off the bridge into Berbice, Palmyra. They're talking about development there in Palmyra. But look how the people, you're not taking care of what you have now, right? You're not. And then guess what they're going to do as part of corruption? They're going to rush out 31 Stanley Town. They're going to rush out now to say that they have pumps and they're going to go to their business friends and family and rent pumps and so forth, right? And then they're going to get the pumps and spend millions of dollars. They're going to put one at the coke ahead to say they're pumping out water here at 31 Stanley Town, right? And then when they get the pump, they're gonna try to get 2 more or 3 more pumps, and they're gonna say they're gonna rush pumps in Ankerville, New Amsterdam also. So this is where they're going to make their monies. They're gonna go to their friends that have these pumps, and they're gonna say, "Hey, we need but 2 pumps, we need but 3 pumps." So if a pump costs $1 million, they're gonna say, "Give me a bill for 3, 4, 5 million dollars." That's what they do. That's what they do to scheme and fraud the people of Guyana. Then what is being done? Look, this is New Amsterdam also. New Amsterdam. They're not concerned about New Amsterdam. In fact, they've killed businesses in New Amsterdam by putting the bridge way far away from New Amsterdam. When it should have been somewhere around the Stanley Town area, it would have been shorter, it would have been cheaper, but no, Jack Davis isn't concerned about things shorter. He certainly isn't concerned about things shorter. So he went all the way to the mouth of the Berbice River to build that big, long bridge. That's what they do. They're not concerned, and stifled the tongue of New Amsterdam, stifle the tongue, stifle businesses, stifle people. And look, apart from stifling, neglecting people in New Amsterdam. This currently is the situation at Stanley Town, 31 Stanley Town. This is the situation. People can't go out to market, but if they do, they got to walk in the water, and not far away is the cemetery too, right? So understand what's going on there with the water. It is unhealthy and compliments of the PPP, the installed PPP regime. This is why they say, or is this an example of the one Guyana they talk about? They don't care about Guyana. They don't care about the people. All they're concerned about is photo ops with some big business deal with their friends and cronies, their questionable businessmen, friends and cronies, and some of these friends and cronies driving around the town, dashing out a little $2,000, giving some people crumbs, and then calling that some sort of good development, and the country is booming, and all manner of things. The country is booming only for their friends and their cronies and those who are in control of the oil wealth. Outside of that, there's nothing, absolutely nothing at all. So again, this is the situation in New Amsterdam, 31 Stanley Town. We are going to be heading to Linden shortly. But before we do, let me show you guys a video with what's happening at Ankerville, Port Moran. All right, that's Ankerville, Port Morant, and this is 31 Stanley Town, New Amsterdam. Lots of problems. And then you know what happened now when they have to compensate the people with taxpayers' monies. These ordinary folks who may submit some sort of loss that they would have endured, you know what? They're not going to get their monies. They're going to get the royal runaround, the push around. But as soon as the big friends and cronies of the PPP submit a bill for $5 million, $25 million, or whatever, that is when they are going to rush. They're going to rush to pay those big fat cats and Looney Tune friends and relatives of the PPP regime. But they're not going to pay the small man and woman who submit their invoices of loss or whatever. They're not going to do that at all. And that's a sad thing. So if you're now joining us, this is live. It's 26 minutes after 11 o'clock. We should be heading to Linden shortly. Um, Somebody's asking a question here. Mark, why are we afraid of the PPP? I don't know who is we and who is this guy? Ronair Cisa is asking, Mark, why are we afraid of the people? We, as in who? Who we? Who we? Are you talking about those in the opposition? You couldn't be talking about me. So don't include me with we, because I am for sure not afraid of them. All right? So I don't know, but people need to stand up. It is their democratic rights to stand up against these form of injustices. And when I say stand up, I really do mean stand up as Guyanese, all Guyanese. Not just one set of people should be standing up. All right now, quarantine should be in big protest all across the quarantine. And like I've said, the people of Evesham experienced this about 2 weeks ago, flooding. Nobody cared. I didn't see any politician went out there and and sympathized with the people and nothing at all. But with all due respect to Member of Parliament Dinesh Jai Prashad, I don't want politicians to just go into PPP stronghold, Port Morant or wherever to show us and to tell us, look what happened in Port Morant, that they don't even care about their own supporters, the PPP that is. We want to see what's happening in your support base as well, right? We already know what the PPP is about. We already know that. I don't know, but these guys in the opposition need to. I'm sure most of them are probably still in bed by now or preparing to put on a suit and tie and their makeup to come on social media. Or they're going to rush after the fact and put on this, oh my gosh, kind of face, right? Miss Simons is saying here, one Guyana is the code word for PPP Guyana. Well, we have all recognized that that is indeed a code word. They don't mean one Guyana. They're not. There's no example. They're not setting anything for us to say, oh, this is indeed one Guyana. It is not one Guyana. It is their what they interpret as one Guyana because they're happy, they're making the billions, they're giving contracts billions of dollars to questionable businessmen for their offshore and base and whatever it is, oil deals, every single thing, airline deals, they're giving it to friends and cronies. And then when they're not giving it to friends and cronies, they're going to rush out and give a couple of crumbs, sprinkle some crumbs in certain areas and give a little 50,000 or a little $25,000 to make it look like though, hey, they're doing something, right? Or watch out for whilst we're talking now, they may rush to give some contract to somebody looking like they're from Nigeria. You know what I mean by that, right? And say, look, we're not discriminating. We're not racist. Don't listen to those guys on social media or Ben Sharp or who don't listen to them. They're spreading division throughout the country. That is what they're doing. Well, that's what they say. They don't like to hear the truth, right? The truth is that they have divided Guyana. They're discriminating against persons of African descent. And of course, they are doing so against their own support base, treating their support base worse than God in heaven knows what, right? So the PPP regime is not a regime for the people. They have not been elected by the people. So obviously, if a regime has not been elected by the people, isn't it obvious that they wouldn't be for the people? And I say that they weren't elected because that is a fact. It is a fact. And a lot of people who were with them during elections time, jumping in, jumping up, talking up, all manner of things. You notice those people pulled away from them. You know, I noticed a couple of them pulled away and they formed some little constitution group called Article 13. And now they're mounting up. These are the same people who were in bed with the people hollering but rigged elections, without any evidence that the elections were rigged. These are not the same Article 13 people are not talking about um, let us expedite the elections petition and all these manner of things. Nobody's talking about that. You know, they don't want the elections to be expedited so that we can open the boxes in the courtroom to see who exactly rigged the elections. A lot of the PPP folks were talking about SOPs and SOPs. They don't want to talk about the SOPs right now. That seems to be a dead issue for them, right? Because the PPP was able to, outsmart them in every area. There was no free and fair elections that the PPP won. They rigged their way into office. We'll be we'll be right back. Hopefully joined by the folks in the
Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright.
All right, welcome back. Take warning indeed. They gotta take warning, right? Uh, I've noticed here Rita Clark is saying they're installed racist thieves and idiots. Can't blame people for having such an opinion at all. Just can't blame them. Then there's a Vanessa Hackett is saying, like the petition gone through the window. Well, they're not concerned about the petition. If you do recall, the 1997 elections petition wasn't heard 4+ years after. And when it was heard, guess what? They had to call elections because it was vitiated by then sitting Justice Claudette Singh. She was the judge. She was the woman who said, no, this is, it's got to go. And then they called elections in March of 2001. Sorry, 2001. Yeah, that's when they called elections. But for 4+ years, they sat there knowing very well that they were illegal. And then there was another elections petition brought by the Alliance for Change, AFC. Oh, it's still a small party. So that elections petition had to do with Sam Hines stealing a seat from the AFC, and they stole the Region 10 seat. And Sam Hines sat there for 5 years in a seat that he wasn't supposed to sit in. But I say that to remind you guys as to the energy the PPP is using to win over the people of Region 10. Questionable circumstances, of course. Under questionable circumstances, they're doing that. And that is why you see the energy that they have right now in Region 10. They want to win a seat in Region 10. And they're doing everything. They got their flat-foot soldiers on the ground. They got everything. They got entertainment to brainwash and to confuse the people. all manner of things they are doing, because the objective is basically to win a seat. They stole a seat from, I mean, from the AFC. God in heaven knows what other seats they stole from the country, but they stole a seat in Region 10, give it to Sam Hines, who squatted on that seat. He was a squatter. What if somebody gone and drag him out because he was a squatter for 5 years on a seat that never belonged to them, right? So I say this now because they want to change up. They want to change up the way Linden looks, and so they are going to create housing schemes, as they claim, all sort of things they're going to do uh, to um, to get their folks who are sympathetic towards the PPP to be in Region 10. So when it comes time for elections, guess what? They're anticipating that with the new set of people who are going to be in Linden, that those people will vote for the PPP. And so they are looking to have a seat through the back door. Meanwhile, the folks out in Linden, Region 10, who are supposed to be representing the people of Region 10. Oftentimes, you see them whenever officials of the installed PPP regime are in Linden. You see these officials, these same coalition officials out there in Linden. You see them at Club Watuka. You see them at other places, sitting at the head table with PPP officials there, and they're smiling. And they understand that the PPP doesn't have any good intention for Region 10. But yet these officials of the coalition are sitting and smiling and shaking hands with these PPP vagabonds whenever they go into Region 10, whenever they go into Linden. You know, they get one particular MP, you hardly see him doing anything, talking about the plight of the people there in Region 10. And Region 10, mind you, is not just Linden, but they don't do that. All you see them promoting party, black party affair, this party, 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 party. Look at what happened with the credit union in Linden. No fight, no struggle. And the PPP bulldozed their way into Linden and have now an interim management committee running and controlling the credit union, and no struggle and no fight from our politicians there in Linden. None whatsoever. But these are the very politicians, when something happens, they rush out quickly or right after it happens, and then they get the camera and they say, look at what's happening. This is so sad. This is so sad. Wicked PPP and all manner of things. But these are, ask them what have they done to prevent. Ask them what have they done during the process, right? I'll tell you guys what. I don't want a member of parliament who was elected to represent my interest or the people's interest is only representing his or her interests, throwing parties and all manner of dotishness. It seems as though for some of these members of parliament in the coalition I'm talking about, we know the hustlers, them in the PPP, but these members of parliament of the coalition is just there for the dollars, right? And whatever benefits they can get, and whatever other deals, whatever other things they can do to make themselves comfortable and their families. So when it comes to really representing the interests of the people, they're not energized. They're not going to do it. Some sit on social media and talk crap all day. They can talk crap all day, but they're not going to use that same energy to go into the communities and fight for the people. It's a shame and a disgrace. Now, look, this letter I'm showing you guys here is where the PPP, this is what I want to show you guys. This is a letter that the folks got from the Ministry of Housing. Some guy named Ramgulam. Rajesh Ramgulam wrote to the people of Amelia's Falls, or Amelia's Ward, to say cease and desist from all, what is it? Whatever word that is, developmental works and whatever else, all encumbrances, including, oh gosh, whatever it is. So the people had this notice, right? The people had this notice. Now I noticed Aliyah Waldron. Good morning. It's not afternoon yet. Is asking if this is a rebroadcast. No, it's not a rebroadcast, Aliyah. It is live, right? Live, live. Thank you though for asking. This is not a rebroadcast. So we are going to head to Linden in just one quick minute. But this is a letter, the 12th. They give the people until the 12th. Look at it, until the 12th. Until the 12th. But they rushed and they bulldozed the people's house. Let's go straight to Linden now. We have Mr. Sharma Solomon there is on the ground. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Solomon.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mark. Blessings. How you doing?
Good, thank you. What's happening on the ground there? Talk to us. Tell us, give us an idea. What's going on?
Well, Mark, I am not just a concerned citizen or resident with relation to the transgression taking place in Region 10 and Linden in particular, but I am an interested party in what is happening because we have interests in this land also. I mean, I am standing now, you see these soursop plants? There are 600 soursop plants that some brothers, I mean, you can look from any direction we in. About six, look the size of these plants, right? This is our farm that we've been farming on for the past 12 years. Thousands of coconut plants, hundreds of soursop plants, thousands of cherry trees. This is what we have invested in for the past 12 to 13 years. And without any explanation, without any proper notification, people started bulldozing the land. Now, there are some people who are housing themselves not too far from this land that we're farming on. And I'll just ask the brother to walk with me a bit because I want you to see this is not just one soursop plant. These are many. We got sorry, we got pepper, we got all kind of crash, pine, we got, you can call it, we have it on this land. We're about 50 Muslim brothers and myself included, along with some nurses, have been using this particular area to farm and to bring out produce. This land belonged for the past 12 years or more unoccupied to Central Housing and Planning, not Central Housing and Planning, sorry, to Lands and Survey. We were always working with Lands and Survey to see if we can get from them lease for this land so that we could move ahead with our farming. Many of us applied for farming lands. Many of us have been asking for quite some time for land so that we can produce food in this community. And for those who could understand Linden, Linden doesn't have an agriculture budget. Region 10, in fact. Region 10 doesn't produce its own food. So this is the initiative that we took on. We have invested millions of dollars into this land. While it was unoccupied, while it was under the stewardship of Lands and Survey, and including while nobody was at the back here doing anything. So Lands and Survey last year sold this land, all of this land, to housing, so that housing will put down 4 schemes or 4 zones. Unknown to many of the people at the back here, they have not inquired how many persons are farming, how many lands are under cultivation or in fact are under farm instructions, how many of those farmlands people have under cultivation, what are the produce, what are the crops, what are the sort of things people have on these. They have not inquired anything. We woke up at an afternoon and we heard people at the back here bulldozing the land. Now, Mark, 2 weeks ago, in fact, 3 weeks ago, using whatever knowledge that as an individual I have, we stop housing. We said to them, you cannot destroy people's life like this. They were understanding enough that they said to us, make a list of the people who are part of this farming organization that's called Brothers Farming Co-op. They asked us to put the amount of produce how many crops, how many coconuts, how many mango trees, because we have some big mango trees on the land. We give them all of that. So I'll say to you this now. The area, based on the knowledge and understanding that as an individual I have and the other brothers around we have, I'm not saying we have authority, but because of that understanding, this area would have been preserved as a land of agriculture.
Yeah, internet issues there. Mr. Sharma Solomon is in Linden, Amelia's ward, showing us exactly what the PPP regime has done. But he is at the farming section there now, explaining what is happening. Let's hope that we get back connection with him very soon. We also want to see the area where the people's homes were broken down. That's what we want to see as well. So we'll be joined by we're back with Mr.
Yes,
Tom Solomon. But go ahead, though. I've noticed we have a lot of folks who are just frustrated. They're saying this thing is overbearing. But let me ask you. I noticed a question here from someone who's asking, who owns the land? I think you may have
the
hinted
land
at
is
that.
state land, Mark. I will make no qualms about that. It has been state land for the longest while. I am saying, however, there was a transaction between Lands and Survey and Central Housing and Planning. In the interim that Lands and Survey was managing these lands, many people occupy them for farming. Some people, including the gentleman right over the road, there's a road about 400 feet away from where I am, and right over that road, there's a gentleman. What's his name? No, the Ramjit. There's a gentleman by the name of Ramjit right over the road. And you know what they say? He got leased to his land right
That's
over the
that's
road.
that's Ramjit and the sawmill. He opened some sawmill in the
Well, this
midst
is the
of
other guy, Chetram. This is another guy, Chetram. And then
open
there's another guy named
sawmill.
Anil. Anil, who's doing the bulldozing. So I am not prejudiced in any situation, Mark. I'm
No, you're
saying,
not.
however, right over the road, Ramjit land is still with his coconut trees, just like we got with soursop trees here. Ramjit still got he trees and he land standing, while poor people land getting bulldozed. Now, I'm giving you the farming aspect of it
So look,
because
one
we were
second.
able to give a
One
pause
second.
to this matter.
So you have Ramjit, you have Anil, and you have who else?
Chetram, and so
Chetram.
many more that we don't know. So I'm giving you the farming aspect of it. Now, here comes the housing aspect of it. Because while we were being encroached on and people saw us, many people thought, there's y'all problem, try that with them. We talked to the officials. The only councillor came in here is Councillor Mark Gorin, and councillor from the from the municipality, Lawrence Simon. I saw nobody else. Came in there, found out what's happening, and we told them it's going to become more detrimental to others who don't have the sort of understanding of the matter like we do, that we could have asked for a pause on it. Nobody took us serious, Mark. Now today, yesterday, poor people are in their homes in the rain and the houses getting bulldozed. Now, two separate matters. Where the people are farming is a little to the back of where the people got their houses. Ramjet and others are over the road, just about 200-300 feet away from where we are right now. Over the road. And now people, I'm coming in just now, numbers, scores of people are now frustrated. Because unlike when Samine said to people, the PUP government got people living in Linden good. No, it is the same way. Just like how you had only 4 schemes in this town developed under the late Forbes Burnham, that you could have turned key and go in. We had no such opportunities in Region 10. It's people hard-earned money, remittances from family members that cause people to look like they're living a prosperous lifestyle. And why should they not? So now here comes the government taking credit for that. Likewise now, without giving people the instrument to live, you're bulldozing their houses. But when you see them throw up their fancy houses and look like they're living progressive, you'll take credit to say you have provided that for them. They could have met with people and could have, we know the scheme, we know the layout is, we saw the maps. We are part of this, Mark. This is not Sharma Salomon, the TV personality and the farmer chairman. This is Sharma Salomon, who was invested with some of my brothers to do farming on a piece of land for over 13 years. They could have come, sat with us, and explained. Now, in all fairness to housing, we have gotten them to pause on that for us as farmers. They did that for 2 to 3 weeks now. 2 to 3 weeks now. But unfortunate to the brothers and sisters who are with their houses, it has just been bulldozed and continue bulldozing. Now, what peeves me, Mark?
Let me just pause you for a quick minute there, Mr. Solomon. I want to ask a question pertaining to a letter that was circulated to occupants. This letter dated May 5th, right? Saying to them that on the 12th they have to vacate their properties. What do you think that
Mark, we might be in the bush, but this is not no bush cook going on here, Mark. This is living. People got solid foundation. This plant, this tree, just can't show up out of nowhere. This is a soursop tree. It had to take years to bear. You can't give people in less than a certain amount of time to think how to organize their lives and then tell them their consequences if they don't move when you say move.
Fair enough.
People invest money, people invest time, people invest their livelihoods. You can take a look across. People's houses are right on the borderline.
So we
how can you now just dismantle that and say that you give people time? Here what I know, Mark. Here what I know. This is not happening nowhere else in Guyana. I know sugar lands in West Dem, in Berbice, in East Coast. I know sugar lands all across Guyana that is being occupied right now by people who are doing the same thing that some of these brothers and sisters are doing, and they are not being bulldozed.
Let me give you an example.
I know of people who owned.
Let me give you an example, Mr. Sharma Solomon, and our listeners as well. Lincoln Lewis had problems where he claimed, and maybe rightfully so, that there were folks squatting on his land.
Mark, I want to mention that particular issue.
The Attorney General Anil Nandalal intervened, went all the way on another man's land and encouraged people to go and squat on
Mark, let me put that into proper context for you.
Sure, please do.
Kojo McPherson in the 1840s, early 1840s, after 1838, after the emancipation and black people, Afro-Guyanese started to buy lands by collectives. We bought them 50, 60 enslaved people came together and bought Victoria, Golden Grove, Buxton. Kojo McPherson wasn't a collective, was one man, 600 acres. He alone bought it. His generation includes the likes of Lincoln Lewis. So it wasn't just a piece of land that Lincoln making nice over. It is the history and prosperity of the struggles of the enslaved Africans that today their ancestors have to struggle not only to keep their lands, but against a government that is sending people to do the same thing that people are on this land doing right now.
But
the same thing that happened only less than 2 years ago.
I know of a situation what they did to the people of Tiger Bay when a businessman claimed ownership, right? I rushed in there and I took along a lawyer by the name of Nigel Hughes, who quickly filed an injunction to stop these guys from bulldozing people's lands and people's houses and all these things. I say this to say that once people fight back, then any oppressive regime would not be able to get away with what they're getting away with now. Is there any sort of fighting back from the people of Linden?
Mark, like I said to you, the fight starts with your intellect. It starts with knowledge. It starts with what you know. I believe it is because of what we in this farming community, the 50 brothers or 49 others and myself know, we will manage to able to pause them. There is a fight back in knowledge. What you know, you cannot bulldoze. They have agreed to get NARI to come and look at some of the crops that they bulldoze for us to do an evaluation for compensation. They said to us through the CEO of Central Housing and Planning, they'll return to us as he was right here on this land and say that he'll return to us after we submitted the 50 names of the people occupying this square. Now, in our context, we have not been interfered with since that intervention. Yesterday, however, for those who are with houses, we have seen a different outcome for them. So those who are in leadership should understand just the suggestion that you're making. And if you notice that my intention is we have our interests here, but we share our knowledge, which is the first fight of this struggle with our residents, with our brothers and sisters. But it requires more than this, Mark. It requires strong leadership. I know of the days when the people in Andyville, Crossville, Rossville, you called them over at Wisma. When they were struggling for lands today, those are some of the most prosperous people because now they have road, lights, and water because people stood up for them. Leadership led them. And today they're living a dignified life as Guyanese to have ownership for housing. Why would you clear these lands where people are living? If they're on a road, move them. But don't grade them away to bring people to live because they are people who are already living, Mark.
But for the PPP regime is the kind of people who are living there. The racism of this government is blatant. Every day we see it. Racial discrimination. It is evident. I noticed, one second, I noticed my friend Ramrati, and she has a point. Good morning to you, Ramrati. Why they don't go to Good Hope Reserve, which is on the east coast of Demerara, and break down those houses. Ramrati, we know why
they don't go to Tushen. Why they don't go to Diamond? Why I can call housing schemes where people are doing exactly the same thing.
But let me ask you this key question. Why do you think they're doing this?
Well, I could give you many reasons, Mark. We can start first with a government that is uncaring and inconsiderate to the plight of the poor and working class in this society. Many of these people are single. Some of them are single mothers. Some of them are workers, people who went to work, came home and saddened. So you'll provide all the concessions, all the duty frees, all the tax holidays, even give away lands to foreigners and call it investment and investment opportunity and hope for a trickle-down economics, which poor people ain't seen up to now. You're giving it away. But for your own people, you're eager, excited as the man in the red hat. We watch the famous red hat man say, kick it down, knock it down, bulldoze it, put you in the rain. But we're encouraging all the others except Guyanese. Not only those who are investing, but those who are migrants. We are providing housing for them in Region 1, and we're providing resources for them because we're a benevolent people, not to ourselves, but to others. This is the one, that's one thing. The other thing too, Mark, we got to find more guts. We got to get more testicular fortitude. There is no part of this world, the war for lands, the wars that have that went on have not been for lands. Every war in this world was waged for land. I am not inciting anything. I am saying to the people, however, who are living in this area, that they must understand the history of the struggles for land if they really want land ownership. Because land ownership includes and equates to generational wealth. Let me show you something, Mark. Quick.
Sure.
These are the people who live in here. This is one of the brothers.
Let me
This is
have
a
a quick
brother with
word.
his baby.
Let me have a quick word with him, please, if you don't mind. Good morning,
Yeah,
sir.
good afternoon. Yeah, good morning, sir.
Or it's good afternoon. Explain how you feel at this moment that these people come, they
My
bulldoze your
brother,
house. How do you feel?
I feel disappointed. I feel very disappointed at what they doing because it is a livelihood we doing here, and we begging, we trying to do things on our own, stand up on our own feet, and we invest a lot of money, and then for come and see that just last year you sell this piece of land, which we since in 2008 we asking for this land, and we deny it. So I feel very disappointed. My children, them I have to send them away because they feel with the machine, they traumatized. They pull out plants with the plant to take away because they say they want the machine come and move it.
Wow. And how long have you been occupying those your plot?
Well, since 2018, 2012 we start A.
Wow. And how many members of your family are now without a home?
Right now is 8 of us here, including me, make 9.
Wow. And the ages of your kids?
Well, 21, 15, 14. This one is just a year, no, 4 months. I get
Wow.
1 year. I get a 4 year. I get a 6 year.
Oh.
And
Well,
I had to move them out from last night because they said I can't take it anymore.
what
Seeing the
message
machine come and pull them and
we know that Irfan Ali and Jagdir, they have time to watch stuff on social media, but what message do you have for these folks in this regime that has caused this to happen to you and others? What
to let
message?
poor people live. Poor people gotta live. We gotta live. This is the only way we have. If you look in the biblical way with Pharaoh and Moses, this is just what we've seen here today. And it's very hurtful.
I can
Telling you, and
only
make it
imagine your pain,
painful.
sir. Yeah, I can just imagine your pain. Stay strong. Stay strong.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Mr. Solomon, I have a question for you. I see some folks have been asking this question, but before you ask, or I prefer you to answer the question. Why is it, or has there been any attempt in the past to regularize these folks in the area?
Mark, like I said, of course, that's how Mr. Ramjit got regularized. That's how some of the other people got because the lands are always here. And Ramjit came, in fact, Ramjit came after 3 years now. Mr. Ramjit is occupying this land and got lease for it. Got lease for lands bigger than the size that we run right now. We're talking almost 300 acres of lands that Mr. Ramjit owns. And he came in here 3 years while brothers were in here for 10 years and beyond. So you ask if any efforts were made? Of course, efforts were made. Of course, we went into lands and survey. Of course, they said to us, put in the necessary claims and application. Of course, even before Mr. Ramjit, this was being done. But like you said, Mark, maybe we don't carry the same last name and we don't look the same. So we are treated differently.
And so, what exactly Mr. Ramjit does in that area? Is he farming?
Same
What exactly?
thing. Same thing. Same trees, same plants. You do some cattle, the same way we got some poultry on this farm. Same thing. He is
Yeah,
allowed to live.
yeah.
He
I
is
just
allowed
want
to live while a man with 6 children and brotherhood with over 50 members are being told, go along your way. You can't live here no more. In your own place. Don't live here no more. But the
a
man
place that
right
they were
over the
born
road.
and raised. Yeah. You know, Mr. Solomon, I want to say that even we have seen examples of lands being given and leased to persons of African descent. As soon as these people in the installed regime were installed, they went right after those individuals, the head of Nissel. They went after him. They charged him, Heath London. They went after him,
Lands
charged
and
him.
Survey,
They went
Mr.
after
Ben.
Trevor Ben, charged him, locked him up, charged him. They went
Went
after the
after
guy
Leon Saul. Went after Leland Saul.
Leland Saul. They went after the folks at Cartier, C. Vons, and all these people. All of them are persons of African descent who were given lands and leases and all manner of things. And now they're going after, they locked up, arrested.
Because Mark, I made a point just now.
They arrested the former minister of finance, Mr. Winston Jordan, just the other day, and charge him for something that he probably didn't have anything to do with, leasing lands out in Ogle and so forth. So we see the evidence is there what this PPP regime is all about. Mr. Sharma, you were saying something.
Mark, as I said earlier, lands represent generational wealth. You can give that to your children. You can take that to the bank.
Let me quickly correct this, because we don't want any false sort of information heading out that lands and surveys only give lands to Indians. That was not the case under the coalition. The coalition was fair. They give lands out to almost everybody. But the people who don't look like Jack Dale and Irfan Ali that were given lands, they charged them. And they're attempting to take away the lands here. So clear, Forbes. Let's get that clear. Under the PPP regime, now that is what this is applicable to what you're saying, Clear Forbes. Yes, under the PPP regime, that is what they're doing right now. Mr. Solomon.
But Mark, let me say this, right? This land is to accommodate that they're putting together. These 4 zones are to accommodate over 2,000 plus people. The people who they are claiming are interfering with their progress from moving forward, who have been here long before Central Housing and Planning acquired these lands from Lands and Survey. These people who they're claiming are in the way measure no more than 200 people. No more than 200 people. You're saying to me you cannot regularize. You cannot call those people in. Say to them, here's the map. You're on a road. Because in the end of the day, these same people will have to come to you for lands to live. And if this land is being clear for people to live, then these are people that should be allowed to live.
You know, the truth
now is not the time for a good luck show. Mark, I am not in here today, you know. I'm not in here last week, you know. The brother just tell you we in here 10 years now. We in here investing millions of dollars. So this is not a spur of the moment action because everybody sees social media nice. But while we were in here, as I said to you, because of knowledge and engagement with Central Housing and Planning, we had a dialogue. We had an understanding of what damaged crops we had, put it on file so they can send in NARI. We had an understanding of how many persons are occupying this farm, put it on file. Central Housing will look into that. Well, Today, they have not interfered with us, but they're interfering with those people who are living in houses.
Yeah. So Ramjit got his land lease 3 years ago, which would make it under the
He moved into this community 3 years ago. Moved in.
He moved in 3 years ago, but when did he
get?
He got a
whenever
lease.
That was, he got it already, and that's what we know from Lands and Survey.
So he would have gotten his lease recently after moved in 3 years. After he started.
More than likely, he got it right away. Blind man don't tell you compel you unless he got the brick in the hand, Mark.
After he started to squat. Okay.
And he's still extending. There are big lands in this area. Still extending all the way to the Demerara River.
Wow. Whoever this Ramjit is, I'm getting off. When I get off this program, I'm changing my name to Mark Ramjit or something, because it seems as though once you have those sort of last names, and I'm not knocking our Indian brothers and sisters who are watching, because even our Indian brothers and sisters are,
Mark, I'll say this to you.
Even they are seeing the blatant discrimination. I just had Pandit Dinesh Jaiprashad talking about the discrimination. My gosh, Mr. Solomon.
Mark, God bless Mr. Ramjit and whatever lands he's given, but we're asking for the same blessings over here too, man. So nobody is knocking Mr. Ramjit or nobody else. It's an entitlement to every Guyanese. The days of the fungal lead of the PNC land to the tailor, we are tilling this land.
So what's the next move now? Because we've been hearing all the talks and talks
Well,
indeed.
I can say this into two parts, Mark.
Sure.
On the part of these persons who've been farming with us, we are waiting central housing to say to us through NARI the damages caused by the crops and trees, just like some of these big soursop trees that they push down. We're also waiting to hear from them where it is that we will then have this particular square that remains for the 50 brothers. What is going to be done with that? As it relates to those people who are living, and if you notice, I've not mentioned the word squats inside there. Because before this became Central and Housing Authority means of management, this was Lands and Survey, who were accommodating people and regularizing them the same way they did Mr. Ramjit. So the next step for me would then to find out from those people how far they're willing to take their struggles and to say to them they need to get the SARTA leadership to give them guidance in that direction.
You know, I sometimes those who are part of the leadership, and I've noticed some of the MPs in the opposition are saying that the people got to come out and the people got to do. Sometimes the people are waiting for leadership, and I give you the same example and lots of other examples. When Jack Day and them were bulldozing the people's homes at right opposite, obliquely opposite Pradoville One,
Mary,
I left my home at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sure that my good friend Ramrati Jagdeo knows of this, and other people left there to go and guide the people. I wasn't an elected official or whatever, but people need guidance. We can't just sit, Mr. Sharman, you know this, as a former chairman of Region 10. We can't sit at times and say, leave it up to the people to come up with a plan. They need leadership, and now is the time they need leadership. They need strong representation so that they can take the bull by its horn and stop this nonsense, this aggression by the PPP regime. Leadership matters.
Mark, well, one thing that we know is that if we're not mindful, for those who don't understand what social engineering is, that all these lands that are being cleared, and they're being cleared in the name of housing, one will have to ask themselves, housing for who? Because Linden people live in here anyhow. So if you're going to clear this land for people, as I said earlier, we are people. And no social, and if the leaders don't understand what social engineering is, then people who are not from this community will not be the ones who are going to claim and own these lands. When you're done, clear it and move them off. New people will come and live in them. And I'm talking from what I know.
And there is of course an agenda for the new people. The new people are going there in those areas to live for a particular purpose and a political purpose.
Social engineer, Mark.
They are expected to vote for the PPP because the PPP is after a seat or two in Region 10. Sorry, that's what it's about.
They tasted it in 2006. So I'm certain it's something that it is within their appetite and their rage to need and to want. I know I said earlier, Mark, so it's about maybe 300-400 meters from where I am now. Some of the people who got their lands and their foundation bulldozed, I made a commitment to go and have a conversation with them. Like I said, Mark, our immediate area that was being damaged included our farm. We hope that we would have seen more people. We saw very little people. I am saddened that it took the people houses and foundations had to be bulldozed, but we had to come and check our farms. I said to them that we'll come and we'll speak with them. So
Can
I
we
see a few of
actually
them.
can we get to see who these people are? Let the people, let
Yeah,
the
we
world
will.
see. We saw their homes being broken into. It's not like we want to hear what you are telling them or what they have to say. So we want to see, let the people see who these people are, so they get an
No, but I'll
idea.
go there. Give me a couple of minutes, Mark, and we'll go there. Just
Sure,
let me shut down
please.
and we'll go there.
We are on air. I want to give you a couple minutes. Please don't keep us waiting. I know you wouldn't, but we don't want to be waiting for
No
too long.
problem,
Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Sharma Solomon there, giving us a quick update as to what is happening in Amelia's ward, Linden. And the haste in which the PPP regime, these folks in the installed regime, they rush out there. They rush out there to basically to charge individuals who would have gotten lands and leases and all these manner of things. I told you earlier, Cartier, they charged him. Trevor Ben, they charged him. Vons, they charged him. Leland Saul, they charged him. You name the people, they have charged them. Winston Jordan, they charged him. Guess what? The other guy, Heath London from Nissel, they charged him. All because these guys were in a position, and while being in that position, persons of African descent got lands, got leases, and so forth. Lands that they were occupying for years, over a decade, that they were discriminated against under the PPP regime by Jack Dale and Ramatar and others. And under the coalition rectified those injustices. So now you don't expect everything to be done in just less than 5 years. I understand your frustration, but I'm giving you examples of the things that were done. Those individuals are now facing in the court charges, all because they gave lease, correct an injustice or injustices committed under the PPP regime. These individuals are going to court every single day or every single month they have to go to court. Nobody cares. Nobody's asking whether they have lawyers to pay their court fees, their lawyer fees, and all these matters. Nobody's asking about that. Everybody's just some folks are out of emotions, jumping up and say, "Why didn't this happen?" Or I understand, yes, but I'm giving you an example of things that happen. I don't know. I'll keep looking at some of your comments. We want to see the people that Sharma Solomon is going to be talking with. Should have been the entire leadership of the coalition out there. The entire leadership. And these members of parliament have to understand that they ought not to be reactionary. They've got to be there on the ground. Don't come on social media and blah, blah, blah on social media. Talking. People didn't vote for y'all to represent them on social media. So don't think that social media is just a platform or avenue that you guys would use and call it representation of the people. Go out on the ground and represent your people. Who wants to get vexed? Let them get vexed. Who wants to get vexed? And look, I keep mentioning my friend Ramrati. She has gone through a heck of a lot. Discrimination, all manner of things. And some of you might say, oh, this is not her real name, Ramrati Jagdeo. I know her very well. She's my friend. She listens to this program all the time. And Ramrati Jagdeo is not, I'm sure she's not related to Jagdeo. Otherwise, if she was, she would not have been treated in the manner in which she has. You know, she has two beautiful daughters. Good evening to your daughters and your grandkids. Beautiful multiracial family, Ramrati Jagdeo. So she's not a fake name. She is a real person. Gosh, what else can we say? Let's see what Garfield Collins is saying. Just want to say thank you, Mark and Lemon, for a great job. Okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mark and Lemon, for a great job. We gotta more than just thanking, man. You know, my heart goes out to the people in Linden and the people on the quarantine. Well, the people on the quarantine, the floods, we're praying that the floods will go away. But what about the people in Linden that have gotten their houses bulldozed by a wicked and corrupted racist regime? What about them? Guess what? We're gonna take a quick musical break and be back. And this song definitely is dedicated to those individuals, those wicked wretches in the regime.
Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine bright. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine bright. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine bright. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine bright. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow.
It's very sick. Okay, umbrella. I can't hide. Okay, the man in the red hat is advising them how to put. Even if the girl was in there, this is what they do. She put up resistance, so this is her pay for putting up resistance and asking questions. Red hat.
They need to find out who Red Hat is. There got to be some court matters in this. A court injunction, an injunction should have already been filed, blocking the housing authority from moving ahead with bulldozing people's lands. The minute that they would have gotten this sort of memo from whoever the idiot is from housing authority, some Rajesh Ramgolam is the secretary to the Central Housing and Planning Authority. All right. The minute they got this here, some lawyer should have already gotten a hold of this to file an injunction. To file an injunction, we've got to be proactive, man. I understand. And then there are people who say, let the people, let the people come out. The people don't come out. Let the people come out. And the people got to stand up. Sometimes the people want leadership. That is why they have their elected officials. They expect leadership. Sometimes all they want is a sense of direction as to where to go. And then when they don't see their leaders on the ground with them, when they don't see their representatives on the ground with them, what do you think happens? The people feel that there's nobody there really to represent their interest. But then when you talk, they get vexed, right? Well, I'm not bothered about who get vexed or who doesn't appreciate what I say here. I'm talking about those who are the politicians and members of parliament. I'm not bothered about them. You know what I'm bothered about, and what gets me riled up is when you see people's properties are being broken down, when citizens are being ill-treated, and there's no form of adequate representation of those people.
These people have no conscience. No conscience they don't have. None.
So the woman was asking, what is going on? Explain. She's a mother. Explain what is going on. They were bullies. There was nobody there to help her. There was no representation. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing. No one. But those men who were there are a bunch of vagabonds, bullies, a bunch of idiots. And I'm sure they have families too. But one of the guys said, ready to bulldoze, whether she was in there or not. And the question is, do you think they would have bulldozed? These are evil men who did that. Listen to what they say. Right after the woman stood up for her rights, this is what they did to her.
It's very sick. Okay, umbrella. I can't hide. Okay, the man in the red hat is advising them how to put. Even if the girl was in there, this is what they do. She put up resistance, so this is her pay for putting up resistance and asking questions. Red hat.
You know, if I have my way, I'll rebuild that woman's house right there. And I dare the authorities. I dare them. I rebuild that woman's house right there. And this is the sort of energy we have to use, not a fraudulent individual who claimed that his house was burned down and people rushed to his rescue and all manner of things. That individual is in the bosom, licking up and kissing up to the PPP, right? And I mentioned that because this is our priority. That woman's house should have started rebuilding right there on that very spot. But look where I'm at, thousands of miles away, right? There are some things that I want to say on air, or what I would say off air. I wouldn't want to say it on air. Trust me. We're still awaiting Mr. Sharma Solomon to return, and at least give us a little bit more idea as to what's happening there with the people on the ground. We'll take a quick break and be right back. Hopefully we'll be joined by Sharma Solomon then.
Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright, let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning, you better take warning. Take warning, you better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man.
It's very sick. Yeah, brother. I can't hide. Okay, the man in the red hat is advising them how to put. Even if the girl was in there, this is what they're doing. She put up resistance, so this is her pay for putting up resistance and asking questions. Red hat.
Red Hat looks like he probably had some midwife training. He's a midwife or something. Imagine instructing those other guys, but push, push, push. I agree with you, Keith Isidan Henry Senior. That's exactly what happens almost all the time. That is what happens. So within the community, you send those who look like you to do the destruction, to do all of the harmful things. It happens all the time. Good observation there, Mr. Isidan Henry Senior. Good observation. It happens all the time. So Red Hat and all the other guys, the police and everybody. Rita Clark, you think Red Hat care whether he's a demon or not? I'm told that Red Hat is from the area too. And these are the types of hooligans who are in office, who are in place, who are given instructions to do things and to go and hurt their own people. We see that all the time, all the time. You know, how do you guys think it feels that a mother, a woman has to stand there and watch her property, something that she invested, her money? Might be small, but that is her mansion. That is her home. That is what she calls home. She has her children there and all manner of things. But these guys don't care. Look at where Jack Dio lives. You think anybody can go and reclaim this land that he took? Ancestral lands he took from the people of Plaisance so that he could build his big shack. You think anybody could go and bulldoze it? You think Red Hat Man could say, push, push? Or any one of those goons who were there committing that illegal act? You think he could have done that? This is Jack Deus. That is where he lives. That is exactly where he lives. This reminds me of somebody just messaged me to say Guyana is like South Africa. There's apartheid that's going on, discrimination, racial I am telling you guys. And sometimes when we talk about these things, some of y'all just get vexed and even say join with the cronies them and call us racist and all manner of things when we point out these evidence to you guys. Look at what they're doing. Oil discrimination, the jobs, and all manner of things. You get people in the country, billions of dollars that they're spending, and taxpayers got to repay them. There was no audit done for ExxonMobil and whatever they have spent. So every time ExxonMobil spend money, the taxpayers got to pay for it. Jack Deere and them, they're happy about it. And meanwhile, they're out there making deals with Sue and Lou and Who and all these other people. And look where he is living. Do you think anybody from Central Housing or wherever could go and bulldoze this big shack? But no, they're not going to do that. They're going to go, and the ordinary women, this is what they are going to do. Look at what is happening. And Ramrati Jagdev is correct. My friend who is watching this show is listening. That they would not go into Good Hope and other places and do those things. They're not going to do it. They dare not do it. Do you think they're going to go at Palmyra and bulldoze the people who are squatting there at Palmyra? Because they're squatters. There are squatters everywhere. Jack Dale is a squatter. Right now, that big shack that you see there, he is squatting. The people at Pradoville, all of them, they started to squat on that land. They took away the people's lands from them and started squatting on it. And then when they're ready, they give people a little piece of land and call it, you got to come into Ministry of Housing and bow down to them, like give them as some sort of goddamn gods. And before you get a little piece of house lot, a little piece of land. But then again, are we really focusing on what we need to focus on? Are we really focusing on what we need to focus on? I don't know. Sometimes I wish when you see in this photo, all them people went out to that boat ride, the all-white boat ride, all-black party, and then they get a back in time session coming up and all manner of things. Our priorities are all over the place. I keep saying this. No, I don't mind the people go out and do a little partying and thing, but our priorities all over the place. Let's get back to those guys out there in Linden and see what's happening there.
Right.
Look at what's going on.
Mark, I can't stay too long out there. I can't stay too long. It's about to rain heavy. But these and a whole bunch of other houses. If you notice, people around all been licked down, pushed down, knocked down. Wood foundation, concrete foundation. And the thing about it, all of these people have now been displaced in the rainy season. As we're about to speak to you, just turn the camera over the next side. The rain coming down more heavy than any time before in the day. And all those poor people now got to find somewhere else to go and shelter because their homes have been knocked down. That's what we have to endure right now, Mark. So all this material and debris you see behind me here, this is what people used to actually live. This is what people used to actually call home. But the rain is on us, Mark, and we're about to go take some shelter. So
all right, get your shelter. Get your shelter. Next time they should walk with an umbrella, rain or no rain. Even when it snows, we've got to keep the battle going. Because when we rush to shelter, that's when the enemies move in on us. But I understand, the guys got to protect themselves too. I don't know. Maybe we should just end from here now and just wait until there's some other developments or so forth. But I hope that the lawyers in the coalition are working to file an injunction against these evil men who went ahead and did what they did to those persons, all because they're folks of African descent, right? So that's how you treat them. You treat them like they're animals. They don't worth anything, right? And this is what they call one Guyana. Meanwhile, those who are part of the international community, the diplomats and so forth, they're right there in Guyana to see what is happening. And it appears that they're turning a blind eye. It's all about developments and business for these people, business deals. So once the business deals keep coming in, to hell with ordinary class people. But we here at 107.1 FM will continue to expose the ills happening in our beautiful country. But for now, I'll just say, have whatever rest of the afternoon that you can have. God bless you. Continue to stay strong. Continue to pray for your people, because some of you may very well have loved ones who would have endured that sort of hardship and cruel acts coming from the PPP regime. I'll see you, if possible, later.
Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should. The evil that men do lives after them. The evil that men do lives after them. Your evil today will blight your tomorrow. So do good today and avoid your sorrow. Take warning. You better take warning. Take warning. You better do good. Let your light shine bright. Let your light shine right. Respect your fellow man as you should.